My name is Joshua Bojo. I'm the founder of The Journey. I implement biblical principles into events. Every time I host an event, I cast a vision.
What does the top look like for you?
If everyone around me is fulfilled, I'm fine. So many times I wanted to quit. That's always my biggest fear, is will people come to the event? Will people even say yes? Will people even donate?
There's two people that are trying to quit smoking, and you put a free joint between them.
If your identity is, I'm not a smoker, well, you're not going to smoke. Again, I almost left my faith because I was lost. I'm like, what am I doing here? You know, God, I don't even know if you're there. Like, I question God's goodness.
If our own faith and how strong it is was up to us,
Yeah.
we would have all fallen out of it. And
Whoa.
so
Can't enjoy my time with my girlfriend because I'm always watching out to see if anyone's gonna see me. Or I can't enjoy church because I know I'm living in sin. If I want to marry this girl, I'm gonna leave my church. Whoa, I openly disobeyed the Lord. What am I doing?
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Untuck Your Cross. Today, I have a new guest, Joshua. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Hello.
Would you be able to introduce yourself for those people who don't know you?
Yeah, so my name is Joshua Bojo. You want me to go formally? Or
Whatever way you want to.
Okay. Yeah, so my name is Joshua Bojo. I'm the founder of The Journey. It's an events company in Calgary where we host events and we do it all for the glory of God. I go to Journey Church, shout out Journey Church. And yeah, I love the Lord and I love people.
Amen.
Yeah.
So I first heard about you through Tristan and your basketball charity event.
Yeah.
After I interviewed him, I saw on his feed that he was working with you for the charity basketball game, and then I wanted to go and just check it out and support him, and then get a chance to know you.
For sure.
Because I saw that you had this event organization. I saw that you were a Christian as well. So I was just wondering, would you be able to explain what the Journey is?
Yeah. So The Journey, like I said, is an events company, but all in all, the purpose of The Journey, of why, honestly, I believe is the vision from the Lord, is genuinely to connect people together. And my entire slogan is, together we will make it to the top. And so what I was battling through, actually how it came about was, genuinely, I was very red pill before. 2022, the rise of Andrew Tate, And I think I'm no longer in that sphere because after reading the Bible, it kind of contradicts a lot of things. But when I was in that sphere, a lot of, especially business side is at the top is supposed to be lonely. Like you're going to be on your grind, you're going to be doing all these things. And yeah, you're going to have to leave people behind. You're going to have to cut off people and all these things for you to reach your goals, for you to reach the top. And that's kind of a lot of the things of what you get engraved in when you're in the entrepreneur scene, the business scene. And so that's kind of where I was like, I go to university, U of C, and I've seen a lot of people who are lonely. And I think this is where my ministry side and my business side came together. Where the ministry side for Jesus says to go into all the nations and baptize people in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. And also to love people and to really just be with people. And that contradicted my other side of my brain, which is the entrepreneur side where I had to grind. And so I was like, so how does this work? And then I saw a need of that in university where a lot of networking events I went to, I'll be honest, like call out UFC, is so fake. And I guarantee you, everyone I talk to at UFC is the same thing. I go to Haskins, so the business school. Every time you go to a networking event, it's genuinely so fake. Like you're gonna talk to people and you just see them switch up. I'm like, bro, you just need to relax. You know what I mean? Like, But I get it. You have to do what you have to do to get to the place where you have to go. So, hey, go to these networking events, you do your thing, right? But I saw a problem in that, and that's where I was like, I feel like I could create something that benefits both. You're gonna go well in business, but also you're gonna be genuine. And I had a mentor. He came about. His name is Daniel. Shout out Daniel. He also runs events in the business scene, and he kind of helped me out for my very first event and my second event, and just been mentoring me. And what I saw was at university, I made a lot of friends. And then individually. And then one day I was like, I'm tired of going to different places. Meet me at this place. And this was literally a day before reading break. All my friends came and we all just we're now a friend group of 15. And that was ever since second year of university. And so I was like, whoa, I have to tap into this gift that God has given me. And then so my first event, I was like, I want to create an event where it's a networking event, but I'm not going to hire you. I'm not going to do anything. I just want you to make friends and learn that, hey, we're all in this together. We're a community of people, right? And so that's what I did. I spoke, my mentor spoke, his wife spoke, and this realtor guy spoke at my very first event. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just gonna. God gave me this vision. I'm just gonna obey. Even though it doesn't make sense, even though I don't know what I'm doing, I did it. I was 19 at that time, and I was kind of shook because this was my second year of university, and people who came into the event were like, some of them were fourth years, some of them were first years, some of them were my peers, and then some of them were also other entrepreneurs. So I was like, what? Why you guys coming to my event? But it's all the Lord. And what I saw at that event was that people literally talked to each other and made friends. And stemming from that, two people started what's it called? They started making content together. I'm not gonna mention the guy's name, but he has 500K now on Instagram. All because they just made friends. They spoke at that event, and now they're on their separate ways. But they're doing really well. They talked to each other, became friends. One person started a golf Instagram page with someone who mentored them, and then the university side. A lot of them told me this was one of the best events they went to because there was no pressure. They're going into their third year, and they started becoming leaders at clubs at university and other things. And I was like, whoa, all because of 30 people, they were able to do a lot of things just because it was genuine relationships. And I think that's where it came and stem from, where my take on this is genuine relationships will take you farther in life than ingenuine relationships. Because you're going to walk with them in life, and they're going to help you, they're going to guide you. You're also going to guide them and help them. And all in all, that's all about community. And that's genuinely what the purpose of the journey is. And then from there, it just stemmed.
I completely agree with the whole issue of networking events. Like I'm a leader at the marketing club at SAIT,
Yeah.
and our biggest events is networking events. And I try to go to the ones at the other clubs or the ones that are outside of school as well.
Yeah.
And everybody's just trying to get LinkedIn connections. Everybody's just trying
Exactly.
to, I don't know, come up with their resume
Exactly.
and like begging for an internship. They're not focused on making genuine connections. They're just more
Exactly.
of going into and be like, hey, I need a job. Like I'm almost done school. I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life walking out of it.
Yes.
Can you get me a job? And completely putting aside of like having a fake conversation, just trying to get to the point of, can you get me a job?
Yes.
Which is cool that you're doing that, where you're focusing on more on connections, because I think that's what I've learned, and being able to have helped organize multiple of those events. It's the connections that last that you
Yes.
finally able to
Exactly.
get something, but you don't go into it with specific intentions. You just go into events and just see who you click with, who you meet with. So that's awesome that you're doing that. I'm wondering, when you say that the whole vision of the journey is to help other people get to the top, like what do you mean by, what is that top? What are you reaching for?
Amen. Yeah. So a lot of people ask that, and I keep it ambiguous for a reason, because the top looks differently to other people. So somebody's top of the mountain can literally look like marriage. So another person is owning that business or becoming a pro athlete or whatever it is. I think the reason why I kept it ambiguous is because in community, everyone's going to have different ambitions. Everyone's going to have a different calling from God. Everyone's going to have a different something different. And so that's why I kept it ambiguous.
What does the top look like for you
For
in your
me?
own life?
Genuinely, well, number one, I want to have a big family. Like that's a top for me. But the genuine top is I just want to see everyone around me be elevated in where they're supposed to be, and genuinely fulfill that great commission. Is that wherever I go, I'm gonna preach the gospel, whether that is through word of mouth or through my actions. And the top is, if everyone around me is fulfilled, I'm fine.
And so is the journey a Christian organization, or are you just a Christian who runs the organization?
Yeah, so the journey isn't a Christian organization. I am just a Christian who owns the organization.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so how does that look like? Like how do you implement your faith into this organization?
Yeah, so the reason why it's not a Christian organization is because I want to partner with not just with Christians, right? And also I want to be separate from a church entity, right? I believe the church has their own roles within the body of Christ, and so I want to distinguish myself away from that, right? There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, like, I just want to be more in the business scene, and I want to partner with secular people, with secular brands, with other things too, where it's gonna help both sides. It's gonna help everybody, right? It's community. I don't want to be exclusive or segregated, but with me is every time I host an event, I cast a vision. that the Lord gives me is like, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to have an event but we're doing it all for the name of Christ. And so how I take those things is I implement biblical principles into events. That's why we have like a hospitality team for volunteers to really engage with the audience. That's our goal is with the hospitality team is to really engage with the audience and talk to people and really to show love and community, right? Even with our marketing team is like how can we really honestly it's like serving at a church marketing team or a media team. It's like how can you use your gifts for the Lord? And so I want to differentiate that because businesses a lot of the time is like a lot of profit, right? How can we make the most profit? That's what a business is all about. And so trying to navigate that, I'll be honest with you, is definitely a challenge. And I'm still struggling with it and like wrestling with that. But yeah, that's what it means.
What are you wrestling specifically with?
Honestly, I mean, are you in the business scene?
I'm
Mainly?
trying to be.
Yeah.
I guess with this podcast, I'm trying to. This whole podcast idea came originally from starting a Christian clothing brand.
Yes.
That's why I wanted
Yes.
Tristan on it. And after I was in accounting my first year at school, and then taking one marketing class, feeling like God might be pushing me to reignite my dream of starting a clothing brand,
Yeah.
which kind of died. But when I
Yeah.
started going to church, felt like God was putting that back into my heart and in my life. And I took one marketing class, and that teacher, after multiple mistakes, I got into the class that I wanted to get into, and that teacher ended up being a former pastor. And
Whoa.
so it was just a lot of like open doors out of my own mistakes that God
Yeah.
was opening. And it just felt like God was like very loudly wanting me to go in that direction.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
starting a community was like the best way to make that dream a reality. And so that was kind of a whole process where I ended up wanting to start my own podcast. Where that clothing brand in the future, I'm not sure. Right
Right.
now, this is what I'm
Right.
focusing on. Yeah, that's where I'd be at.
Yeah. So I guess in terms of that, because I'm a major in finance,
Mhm.
and so again it's completely different sides. Where obviously for a business in the business scene, your goal is to make money, and obviously I've definitely talked to a lot of pastors about this and mentors. What they've genuinely told me is money is just a tool, and money is a tool, and the way you use your money reflects your heart, right? That's my overall conclusion, right? So again, for the love of money is the root of all evil, but it's just the love of money is the root of all evil, not money itself,
Mhm.
right? So when you do get money, how you use it is reflective, honestly, is reflective of your relationship with God and why you do these things. Let's say I want to buy a big house genuinely because I want to bring people into my house to do ministry. Genuinely for my birthday party, I was struggling to find a venue that could fit the amount of people that were gonna come at that party. I couldn't even do it at my house. I had to book a church.
Mhm.
And so it's like, I know my heart with this is every time I have money, I want to bless other people with it. And sometimes I do, I also been learning this is sometimes I also forget to take care of myself. So that's kind of, where I'm trying to balance things is I also need to take care of my own self before I can help other people out. But yeah, that's where the wrestle was, is using where to use the money and how to use the money.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest just struggle with any entrepreneur that is also a Christian. And
Yes.
how do I go about that in a way that I don't fall into this worldly obsession of making money and
Yeah.
growing for the wrong reasons? I mean, for myself with this podcast, it's constantly a stop looking at the numbers and how many views I'm getting and into
Mhm.
how many seeds I'm planting, and
Amen.
try to focus on that. And that's something I can consistently struggle with. And so
For sure.
God's been kind of helping me with that. I'm wondering, what's that process like with working with secular companies? Do you feel like that ever affects your own faith or the vision that you have?
Right.
How does that work?
Well, actually, to be honest, I haven't done that yet,
Mhm.
but I want to do it soon. And I think when it comes to secular brands and stuff, I've really had to even wrestle this with the Lord. But my heart genuinely is, how are they going to know about Christ if we don't bring them into these type of circles or spheres? And now with visions, this is where I think the leadership aspect comes in. Is I am the host of the event, and that's where I have to put my foot down and be like, look, you're coming into this vision, you're coming into this event, and so this is where we're gonna have our vision of the Lord in, whether you believe it or not, and that's your choice if you want to still partner with us or not. You leave it open. That's what I'm gonna do. I leave it open, but you have to put your foot down and be like, we believe in Christ. You could come with us or not.
Do you feel like that's ever cost you opportunities by putting your foot down on that?
Never.
No? Okay.
Even in like the real world.
Mhm.
I think I have to turn down job opportunities because it just what was I saying? Yeah, I had to turn down job opportunities because it conflicts with my interests, conflicts with my morals, and so I would never regret anything like that.
That's
Eh,
good. Yeah, I think that's the importance of having a North Star where if anything is throwing you off that, then it's just
Yeah,
not worth it. And that's hard to do, especially
exactly.
at our age where turning down opportunities it's hard because you never know
Yes,
if something better is going to be out there. Like
yes,
I try to trust the Lord, but that worry is always there.
100%. But that's where faith genuinely comes from.
100%. Yeah, I agree. It's
Yeah,
easier said than done, but I
for
think
sure.
I try to look back on everything that God has done in my life, knowing that He's going to be able to, um, just that He's going to work for
Yeah.
what is it? God works for the good of all of those who are called to His purpose. I think that's
Hmm.
the verse. I could be butchering that, and just trying to keep that at the front of it. Um, Now that we have kind of an idea of what the journey is, I was wondering if you'd be able to kind of go into your testimony. Where is it
Mm.
that your Christian faith first came from, and what
Yeah,
was that process?
yeah, actually. So I was a Christian my entire life. I grew up in a Christian household, but like a lot of people, I did not grow up Christian or like walking the ways of Christianity. Right? My parents always forced me to church, so I would just sleep during the sermons all the time. I think until I was 18, but I was playing soccer my entire life. Yeah, soccer was a big part of my life, but I believe God used soccer to save me from a lot of things because like when you get to high school, a lot of influences came, with partying, with the friends around you. A lot of my friends vaped and smoked, and partied. I'll be honest, I was out at those parties, but I never drank or smoked because I played soccer. I was trying to
Mhm.
go pro. I made on the, I was playing on the top teams my entire life. Uh, and a lot of my teammates are pro, so I was like in that level, and so I didn't want to ruin my body. I didn't want to smoke because I needed to play 90 minutes on the field. Like if I smoked, I know my lungs would cook me, right? Drink either. I wanted to keep my body just fully clean, which kind of saved me a lot of times. Looking back, the Lord really used soccer, but then it wasn't until I got into a relationship in grade 11. Well, this testimony is public, by the way, but like, yeah, that relationship drew me even further away from Christ because you delve into your temptations and all these things, and it came to the point when I think near the end of my first year of university where I was like, if I want to marry this girl, I'm gonna leave my church. And I was in that. It was literally in that phase. I was about to leave my church. I was about to drop my faith because, I love this girl genuinely, and we dated for 2 years, and then I went to a retreat in August of 2022. That retreat hit me hard because I was like, this is the most peace I've ever felt in my life. And if I go back there, I'm gonna wrestle with this for the rest of my life. Like I was wrestling with sin because I was living a double life. I was dating this girl, and then at church I'll appear holy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was a whole wrestle. And it was like I can't enjoy one or the other because my foot is in either. I can't enjoy my time with my girlfriend because I'm always watching out to see if anyone's gonna see me. Or I can't enjoy church because I know I'm living in sin. So it was a whole duality that I had to really face and struggle with. And I knew my answer. I know I have to go to the Lord, but I was just choosing not to,
Yeah.
right? I was just choosing to live in sin. I was just choosing to gratify my flesh or my desires and all these things. And then August came, and that retreat was, Lord, use me. That's all I said. It was like, Lord, I want you to use me. And it was just pouring down my face, and tears were pouring down my face. And clear as day, break up with her. That's all I said. That's all I heard. Sorry, that's all I heard from the Lord. That's all He said to me. If you want to be used by me, break up with her. And she was in Vietnam at that time. And then I texted this whole message. I don't think we could do this, but we could still be friends. And then she came back from Vietnam, and somehow, some way, consciously, I thought I was doing well, going with the Lord, and then boom, consciously, I just bought her a promise ring from Pandora, $200, and then I bought her an MK bag that she always wanted, $300. So I spent $5 on a girl that is not even mine. That's not supposed to be mine, and that's where I knew I was like willingly being disobedient. You know what I mean? Oh, it was crazy. But And then she came back and I gave her those things and we went on a date. We went on a date and that's where I backslid. And that's where I was like, whoa, I openly disobeyed the Lord. What am I doing? I thought this was in end of August, by the way. I was like, what am I doing? And then that's where I came again. I was like, am I willing to backslide? Or am I willing to fully just go on with the Lord? And I think the Lord literally intervened because for a week straight, we got into an argument for a full week straight. And then I was like, I can't do this anymore. Because I remember I was in literally stats class, I could not focus. I can't do this for the rest of my life because I'm living in a duality that I have to cut off. And I finally broke up with her. And then 2 days later, I found out she was already talking to a different guy. And they were talking for a month. So the Lord literally intervened, but that hurt me so much. But I just accepted my consequence because I was like, I was willfully being disobedient. I was willfully choosing to live a double life. And wow, this part's not public. But 3 weeks later, I see her on the train station, in the train. And literally, like, I was so hurt. I was about to hold a grudge. And I was like, I saw her and we just talked. I was like, hey, how you been? You know, it was kind of awkward. But then I was like, look, I have every right to hate you. I have every right to literally, like, despise you, this and that. But genuinely, I just love you and I wish you the best. And I don't hate you at all. There's no animosity between us because Jesus forgave me, so I forgive you. And bro, that was the turning point of my entire life. Ever since then, like, genuinely, if I ever see my ex again, I'll just sit down and talk to her. Like, she's married now, but it's like, she genuinely helped me to get to where I am now. Because of my willful disobedience, learning how to forgive her made me realize the love of Christ in me, right? That the Christ still loves me even though I've sinned, even though I've willfully disobeyed. And ever since then, I've just been 2022, August or September, I've just been on the passion for the Lord. And yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I know that's not easy to talk about, especially past relationships. I have
Yeah.
a similar story where, you know, living in that duality where I wasn't going to church because I knew that that was the right thing to do, but
Yes.
I knew that if I went, I would be convicted about like the sinful life I was having with my girlfriends, and that's kept me away from the church for a while.
Yeah.
And so, and what you said about being able to forgive her because of what God and Jesus has forgiven you, that's a lesson I had to learn as well, because having so much pain or hate for somebody and then realizing that Jesus has more reasons to feel the same way about you, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
That was a turning point for me as well.
Amen.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Thank you, bro.
It's
happy to share, bro.
It's
amazing.
It's not easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you're here because again, and also the backsliding part, that is a huge temptation at all times. Is that you feel like God has called you to a purpose and you're going towards there, and then the enemy just keeps throwing stuff in your path, trying to get you back to your old life. And I struggle with that as well. It's just also that lonely aspect, especially with past exes, is like, do I go text them knowing that it's going to completely throw me off of what I feel like God is calling me to do right now?
Yeah.
But I know that he sustains us, so I'm glad that he's doing that for you.
Amen.
And we'll definitely continue to pray for you for that. There was when I was stalking your website for the journey, and one of the first events that you had there was a specific video of you talking about the whole role of feelings and actions in regards to pursuing your dreams. And there was this one kind of scenario that you pointed out, and I wanted to go over it. There's two people that are trying to quit smoking, and you put a free joint between them.
Yeah, I remember this.
One person says, I don't want that, I'm trying to quit smoking. And then the other person says, like, I don't want that, I'm not a smoker. What is the difference between those two people?
It's identity. And I think, I'll be real, this 2025, I struggle with identity again because of a testimony video will come out soon. But your identity, number one, comes from the Lord. And so the way you perceive yourself is the way you're going to act, right? And so if your identity is, I'm not a smoker, well, you're not going to smoke because you know that you're not going to smoke because you're not a smoker. versus I'm trying to smoke, or sorry, I'm not trying to smoke. There's room for, yeah, you know what? I'm smoking now, but I'm trying my best not to smoke. You're just gonna fall into that, right? And I think, are you trying to parallel that with your relationship with God, or
Yes, yeah. I mean, because that's something I had, like quitting the smoking thing. That's something I actively was struggling with,
yes,
was going from me trying to not do something, and or trying not to do something for the Lord, like trying to
yes,
gain His favor, and then having an identity of not smoking. That's something that I personally like clicked with, and so I think it was cool
yeah,
that I found that a video of you. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Again, it's all about identity, and even for you, like starting this podcast, there's people that have tried to start a podcast but never did it.
Hmm.
Versus you now, you're actually a podcaster. You're actually doing these things because why? You've made that your identity, right? And so, countless amount of times I've seen people trying to do things. Oh, I'm just trying to do it. That's why they're never doing it, because they're still trying to do something. Versus, you are gonna do it. I am gonna do this, you know. And so, yeah,
The whole thing of being able to put action behind what you're trying to do.
exactly.
I've all these books that you see on those. I've read some of those, and all the
Yeah,
self help books, and trying to get the boldness to actually go ahead and pursue this. None of them actually helped me until I actually went out and just out of
exactly.
boldness to try to do it, and say like, I have made a podcast. I am a podcaster.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird to say that, and I think the whole imposter syndrome still happens sometimes. Is that something you ever experienced?
100%.
What is that like for you?
Like imposter syndrome.
Yeah, imposter syndrome.
Yeah. Honestly, I'll be real. This is my take. I believe imposter syndrome is, oh my goodness. I believe imposter syndrome is good
Why is that?
because it makes you, well, I guess it depends on where your motivation comes from or how you use it as motivation. That's a better way of saying it. Because imposter syndrome makes you feel like I'm an outcast, right? So you walk into the room, dang, these guys are like, this guy has a $1 million business. This guy, 1 million followers on Instagram or whatever. And I'm here, I'm just starting. So what do I have to do to feel like I belong in this place? And so that, honestly, imposter syndrome helped me to actually act because I was like, I'm motivated. I need to get to where these people are at. Sometimes it becomes toxic, and that's where you really have to balance it out. But my initial take is it helps you act. It helps you get out of the mud to be like, I need to get rid of this imposter syndrome, you know?
Mm.
And then that, you're going to break out one room. The next room, God's going to elevate you. You're going to feel it again. How do I make sure? What do I have to keep doing? I have to keep working. That's where the man side comes from. We as men, we have to keep working. We as men, we're providers, right? We're leaders. So imposter syndrome, I believe, helps you get out of complacency. It helps you get out of being reluctant and laziness. It helps you move.
And being lazy, that was something I, especially before I actively started pursuing a relationship with Christ, the laziness, and felt like I wasn't doing anything with my life. And even though I felt like there was things that God was calling me for, and then actively not doing those
Yeah.
things out of just laziness, whether or not that's just like playing video games or whatever I was doing, that was something I struggled with. And then I think that we're all given gifts, and if we don't properly steward those gifts, then I think
Amen.
it's just something that will continue to eat away at you. I think we all feel like a potential, and
Yeah.
not pursuing that is just, I don't know, something I found really painful in my life.
Right.
I'm wondering, so when you actually first started doing this, this journey, this organization, this event-based organization, what was that first step? What was the first thing that you had to do, and what was that process like?
For my first event.
First event, yeah.
Yeah. So again, that's where it kind of stemmed from. So it actually stemmed from a podcast I was doing, and then that's where I hit up my mentor. I was like, hey, or he wasn't my mentor. It was just some guy on Instagram,
Mhm.
right? I was like, hey, I don't know if you remember me. You youth led me like 5, 6 years ago, and now I'm in the business scene, and I've seen your content. You mind if we get a coffee? He sent me a whole video, sent me to his office. We got a coffee, and he was like, at the very end, how can I help you? And that's where I was like, yeah. I didn't think about this part. I just wanted to get a coffee. And then ever since then, he started mentoring me. Honestly, I love my mentor. And then he was like, why don't you start your own event? I was like, okay. I don't know what to do, but okay. It was the aspect of actually doing something. He challenged me. I was like, you know what, God? If this is your will, let's make it happen. I was like, let's do it. This was in February 2023. and then he would invite me to events, like just like small like networking or even just coffee chats with people. That's where I felt my imposter syndrome. There was one like event where it was literally just a get together, and that's where, bro, someone had 1 million followers. That's where somebody is making like 20K a month. Somebody's has his business, and my mentor obviously he's like in the business scene, and I'm there. Yeah, I go to university. I haven't done anything, so I just sat down and I just talked to people and learned from them. But I definitely had imposter syndrome. What have I done? I haven't done anything. So that's where I was like, I need to make this event happen because at least there's something I've done. And so, yeah, I talked to people. I messaged people, hey, are you want to come to an event? Literally just cold outreach to all my friends and all these things. And at first I made it paid, but then I was like, no, I got to do this for free. I haven't done anything. Why are they going to pay me? And so my mentor also got in contact with a real top realtor in Calgary. His name is Gary Basra. And somehow he said, yes, he'll speak. I was like, okay. He said, I'll do it for free. I was like, wow, this is amazing. So now I have 4 speakers, and I said, I'll speak. And then out of nowhere, I was like, God, what do you want me to say? I'm like, I'm starting a thing. I'm 19. Why would people even want to listen to me? And then it was all about just being confident in what you're talking about and being passionate. I think a lot of people, one of the gifts I knew that I had was being able to make friends and being able to make connections and genuine connections that will last long. And I was like, okay, I feel like I could talk about that. Let me talk about that. And that's what I did. I talked about this is how I make genuine friendships. Just be real and to really know how to start a conversation and carry that conversation. And yeah, people wanted to come. It was filled out with 30 people. It was at Les Moulins Cafe in the South by the Porsche dealership. And I talked to the owner of the guy. I just reached him. Well, Daniel helped me out. He reached out to him and he said, you know what? I'm going to let you book out this venue for free because I love what you're doing. You're starting, you're young, and I want you to just go. I was like, he was like, just pay for the catering. I was like, yeah, catering is calm. I was like, wow. So God, I just said yes to the Lord, and he just moved. Yep. And at the very end, literally 2 days before the event started, I was like, I don't even have a photographer, a videographer. I don't know what I'm doing. Some guy on Instagram, one of my friends, he messaged me. He's like, yo, I've been traveling all around the world right now, but he's a videographer, right? And he's like, I didn't get a chance to buy a ticket, but I want to come to the event and do your video recap for free. And I was like, okay, come through. And so literally, I just said yes, and God put all the pieces together. And I was like, wow, that was the first step of my faith. I was like, okay, you just obey, God will literally work. God will literally move. And every single event I've done, that's literally what happened. And you could talk to people on my team that have been with me for my second event, my third event, my fourth event, and the exclusive has just been, I don't know what to do. God has a vision I say yes to. We do the pieces, we work, but things I can't control, God will control for me. So.
Yeah, I think that some of the guests I've had before on this keep saying that God is not looking for qualified people who have everything put together. He's just looking for willing people who are willing to say yes.
Exactly.
And just trust him with that. And no, that's awesome. Yeah, just that amount of pieces where you didn't know how they were going to go about, and then God keeps answering those prayers and filling those up. And I found that God has been doing that, especially 2025. There's a lot of places where not out of my own doing, but I find myself in places or positions where I don't know how I got here. And it's just like, looking back, it's like, that's purely God's hand working. Like, I had way too many mistakes leading up to it that I shouldn't be there, but I'm still there. And it's just, again, another reminder of his faithfulness. And
Amen.
Even when we don't get those opportunities, remembering that there's a reason why God's not maybe intervening, and that's like a learning opportunity that he wants. But that's awesome, because I think something I've struggled with is like, how do you find people to help you in your vision? And how do you onboard people to your vision? How do you get them to join your vision? Just cold emailing, cold DMing. That's something that I had a struggle with. I felt like, why would you want to be on this podcast? Why would you want to help me out? It's like, what's the incentive for you? And that's something I've struggled with. And now I've seen that people want to be able to help other people's visions, which is it's an awesome environment. And so it's just cool to see that God's working like that in your life. I wanted to talk about the other events that you've had the two sporting events that you've had since then.
Right.
So I understand that you've had one soccer event
Yeah.
and then one basketball event. And the coolest thing that I thought about your event was that you had two Christian clothing brands sponsor like your event, that they were the ones who each team that are playing is like sponsored by an event. What made you want to do that?
Yeah. So again, I think last year, 2025, I'll be real with you, I didn't even plan to make an event. I didn't plan to host any event because I was started working as an electrician, and I was like, no, I need to just focus on this. I need to make money, this and that. I need to watch out, like take care of my family, take care of my future. You know, when God has a plan for you, God will just make it happen. And somehow, like Retronova, the owner of Retronova, he called me one time. He's like, yo, when do you want to do a soccer charity match? I was like, yeah, but I don't know if I have the capacity to. But at the end, I just felt this call from the Lord. Just say yes. I'm like, and by the end of the convo, I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's do it. I'll get to work. And so during the time when I said yes, I played soccer. So that's my advantage. I knew a lot of soccer players all over Canada. Message people that go to Trinity Western, who my teammates with, UBC. If I don't actually know if any UBC players were there, but everywhere, Dinos team, MRU, etc., and just some players who didn't really play soccer, but I know would want to play in the charity match. And so I was just messaging people while I was at work. And you even asked my uncle this, he was with me. Sometimes I would be like hammering something, I get a phone call with my AirPods, I'd answer it. I'm like making a deal, and the guy is like hearing hammer. I'm like, yeah, sorry, I'm just at work right now, but what's up, tell me. And so with the soccer one, what it really honestly motivated me from was the Sidemen charity match.
Okay, yeah.
You know, so I saw that, I was like, bro, we could replicate this here. I don't know how, but we can. And so I saw that what they've done, they've brought a lot of community together and people together, and also raised a lot of money for charity. And so this is literally perfect for the journey, because what does a soccer event do? What will a sporting event do? It will bring people together. And that's the main purpose of it. People want to come to events. People want to like just talk to people, and even also just watch soccer. So I was like, okay, this is perfect. We can make this work. And there was somebody I knew who worked at the Mustard Seed, and I asked them if they could connect me with somebody that would want to do the event side. Connected with this girl named Vanessa from the Mustard Seed, and I asked, hey, we're hosting a charity soccer match. Would the Mustard Seed be like, we want to donate to the Mustard Seed. Will your charity be willing to do this? And they said, yeah. I was like, this is great. Everything is working out. What is going on? And then all the players started saying yes. They'll be back in the summer. The players said yes. The charity said yes. And then funding, the Lord provided, paid for the jerseys, and just made it happen. And so even the photographers and videographers, again, they just came out of nowhere. Actually, the two photographers now, they're like my best friends now. And I never really talked to them beforehand. And so this is just like my own case of my own event where you just bring people together. And now I have long life-lasting friends, right? And so it's crazy. And then the soccer match happened. It was a great game. Now people want to do it again. And I'm planning process for that in July. And then after the soccer match, someone was like, why don't you do a basketball one? And I was like, okay, let me take a little break. It took a while to plan this. And I was like, okay, I'm not in the basketball scene, but guess what? I know a lot of people in the basketball scene. So I hit up my good friend Josh. He was like crazy basketball player. I went to high school with him. In September, I was like, yo, let's do a basketball one. And I'm like, I'm not expertise in basketball. You are. You got the whole scene. And my friend Paul and Dang too, they're all in the basketball scene. Let's make teams. We got two. I know Anointed wants to do it. I know Tristan wants to do it. I called Paul. I was like, yo, Spiritu, you down? He's like, yes. We got a team together. And the basketball one was definitely harder because I was in school.
Okay, fair.
While I was planning it. So I do my finance homework and just straight to Photoshop. Like do all the graphics, plan everything. It kind of burned me out, but that's where genuinely the trust of the Lord comes in. I'm like, God, I'm doing the best. Help me out here. And then boom, 8 people on the marketing team asked me photographers, videographers just came out of nowhere. And again, if you just say yes, the Lord will do his thing. If it's the Lord's will, the Lord will do his thing. And that's what I've seen. Now, 2026, I'm so excited. There's a lot more events we're planning.
Any sneak peeks at all?
Yeah, we might do a concert,
Ooh.
you know, just other charity matches. Obviously, the soccer and basketball one, we're going to keep that going. But I'll sneak peek a concert in there.
That's
I'll
I'm
sneak.
excited. I'm excited.
Yeah, but there's a lot more events we're planning, so it'll be exciting.
Was there any low points at all? Like any setbacks, any doubts that this is
Oh, my
what God
days.
wants you to do?
Yes, so many times I wanted to quit. So many times. Even this basketball one, I was like, after this basketball event, I'm done. Like, I'm not hosting any more events. And then, yeah, I'm hosting, like, so many more this year.
What made you want to stop?
Yeah, so a lot of questions. Honestly, when you really walk with the Lord, I think this is what... Thank you for asking this.
Yeah, of course.
I'm going to bring this up. A lot of people, when you come to Christ, they'll say, God loves you. God does love you. But they make it seem like it's going to be a peaceful walk. Walking with the Lord and walking in obedience comes with a price, right? When you see David's life, he fell into sin, right? But he bounced back, right? Obedience will always come at a price. Moses, too. He obeyed the Lord, but guess what? He had to walk through 40 years of Egypt. He never even got to see the promised land, right? But he walked in obedience, right? Jesus in Gethsemane praying, Father, take this cup away from me, but not my will be done, but yours. He was sweating he was sweating blood, right? And so when you walk in obedience, there will be a price, but the reward is even greater than the price you paid. Because, yeah, during that time, mentally, especially when I was in school, I was so exhausted. I was like, Lord, why are you even doing this to me? Like, why am I doing this? Why am I hosting an event again? I'm like, my pockets are running deep. I don't even know where the funding is going to come from because I have to pay everything beforehand.
Yeah.
That's something I've learned, the business side. Now I'm going to do something. I'm going to make it NPO, right?
What is that?
A nonprofit.
Okay.
So funding can come in and I can host events and stuff. But it's like, Lord, is this even worth it? Like, what am I doing? Number one thing is, will people even come to the event? That's always my biggest fear, is will people come to the event? Will people even say yes? Will people even donate? There's so many questions and doubts that will, like, literally go into you. And it's like, why am I doing this? The biggest one, again, another imposter syndrome. Lord, why am I doing this? Am I even the right person to do this? And then in Exodus, when Moses says to the Lord, Lord, I'm not eloquent or this or that. Why are you telling me to speak to Pharaoh? And God said, am I not the person who made your mouth? I'm paraphrasing, right? Am I not the person who did this or that? Actually, even in Jeremiah 1. Can I read it? In Jeremiah 1?
Yeah, I'd love to, yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you. This is like literally what I've been meditating on a lot. Jeremiah 1. I'll just skip down to verse 8. God says to Jeremiah, do not be afraid of them, for I am with you to deliver you, declares the Lord. Verse 9, then the Lord put out his hand and touched my mouth. And the Lord said to me, behold, I have put my words in your mouth. See, I have set you this day over nations and over kingdoms, to pluck up and to break down, to destroy and to overthrow, to build and to plant. And so if God calls you, God is the one's going to put words in your mouth. God's going to put people in your life that's going to help you with the vision that he has called you to do. As long as you give glory to God, because I could easily take all the credit, but I don't. I don't want to take the credit, because if you look at my life, how am I doing this? I don't know. So, yeah.
I think that's the most beautiful thing is when you get to a certain point where it's just so obvious that none of this, like, you couldn't have done this on your own.
Exactly.
Or like doors that were open that you weren't meant to open, that you don't have the capacity to open, rooms or people that you meet that isn't by your own doing, where it's just like, I can't take any of this credit.
Yes.
I don't deserve to be here. And I love that. I love that God has been able to do that, or whether or not he's keeping me away from doors and keeping me away from people.
Yes.
In his timing, and just trusting that. But I love it when he does that.
Amen.
It's just no better. He very much wants to keep us humble, and will keep us away from things if we aren't ready to steward that. And I thank God for that, because if he were to give us more than we can handle, then that might just go the wrong direction.
Exactly.
But he gives us exactly what we were able to
Exactly.
handle with his help. And Yeah, no, it's just it's just cool
Yeah.
how he gets you in those
Amen.
positions without any of your own doing.
Amen. Yeah, can I add on to that
Yeah,
real
of
quick?
course.
Yeah, so honestly, my mentor said this. He said, "Would God give you a keys to a Ferrari?" Scratch that. Reclip this. Right? My mentor said this. He said, "Would God give you the keys to a Ferrari if he knows you're going to run away with it?"
No, he wouldn't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think during the molding seasons, during the times where when you're walking in obedience, you will go through trials. I'm not even like no sugarcoating. You will go through trials. Because the way I've seen it now, it's him molding your character, molding your identity, and molding your trust in him. Because when you come to a point in life where all you can genuinely do is depend on him, that is genuinely the best position to be in. Because that's how you know you're going the right way, in the right path. I've learned if things are easy, if things are going too well, you should probably start praying.
If things are going too well, why
Yeah.
is that?
We live in a society now that promotes easiness. You do it like, especially in the business scene. You know what I'm saying? Coaches call people out. You guys do this, you'll be living in yachts. You'll be driving these Lambos, this and that. They're selling you the dream to live an easy life. But obviously, you're gonna have to go through crazy work to do that in order to live that easy life. Unless you genuinely scam and gamble and get lucky or do whatever, some illegal things. But if you actually want to genuinely get to the place you want to be, you have to go through struggle. You're gonna have to. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's biblical. Tell me one person in the Bible that had an easy life. Jesus lived one of the hardest lives. He was rebuked. He was a perfect man, and he still got crucified. Right? Abraham, Adam and Eve, everybody in the Bible. Paul was literally writing books in books of the Bible in prison. You're not supposed to live a life where it's easy, or else genuinely you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, I think there's when you have two people. You have one person who grew up in wealth and in richness, and you generally see that person not being able to steward that money properly.
Exactly.
And then you have another person who went through that struggle, who came from a family that had nothing, and then if God raises them up, they view and steward money very differently. And it's like, which
Yeah.
one would you rather be? And I would rather be the person who didn't have it and knows what it's like, and then being able to properly steward it.
Exactly.
If God blesses me with that.
Exactly.
I keep seeing the joke where, God, you've put me through so many seasons and struggles, and you've tested me with so much stuff. How about you test me with a lot of money? What if I went through that? And I think it's funny when people say that.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people think that it looks like it'd be easy to deal with a lot of money, and the problems that they have aren't real problems. But I don't know. There's just so much darkness when you have that much money, and not having the right foundation before you get that blessing could be really detrimental for people.
Exactly.
And so be careful if you're praying for that, because you don't know
real.
what that's like.
And I think what the world really needs to do more is hang out with both sides of the plate. Where I didn't grow up with money. I kind of grew up with struggle. So I've seen that side too. But now I play golf, and I golf with people who have crazy money and wealth, and you see both sides, and everyone will have problems. I think there's a stigma where the wealth will look at the poor and be like, dang, these guys are troublesome or whatever. But then you'll need to listen to their stories and where they come from. Where I see the people now who don't really, aren't that wealthy, look at the rich and be like, yo, these guys are stingy, these guys are this, these guys are that. But some of them are the most generous types of people, or a lot of them struggle with a lot of mental issues. Because when you get to a place where you've pretty much done everything, what are you doing now? That's why a lot of people go through midlife crises. And so I think when we don't stay, this is the value of the journey, by the way. I've seen every side. I've talked to all sorts of people. And that's where if people genuinely just sit down and talk to people, this world would literally be a better place. Instead of making assumptions, instead of making bold statements about other people, I think this world would be a better place if we just sit down and talk to people and hear people's sides and perspectives. And genuinely.
Yeah, I think in today's world, having to censor yourself has been just a negative thing, where now you can't have a conversation with somebody with different beliefs,
Exactly.
Different values, where if they are different from mine, then they're wrong and they're a terrible person, and you call them all these extreme names, and it just makes people reserved, and nobody wants to talk about how they feel or their opinion. And but I feel like there's a huge pushback now, and I think that we're getting to a different season in our society where people are fighting back and wanting
Yes.
to be more expressive and be okay with not being politically correct or agreeing with the majority.
Yeah.
So I pray that God uses that momentum in a way that fits His will.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things I wanted to ask, just to land our interview, I've got a couple other questions, but first is for the person who might be interested to go to your events, what do you think is the biggest value or reason that they should look out for what you're doing with the journey and attend your events?
Yeah. So especially heading into 2026, one of the biggest things I've seen, and I've just been with a lot of people, is ever since the rise of technology and also since COVID, I think a lot of people really crave events now, or like authentic interactions and relationships where, these events are fun. These events, my biggest goal and my biggest thing for the journey is I want to create events for people to really enjoy. And that comes with volunteers, that comes with the service of volunteers, where I want our volunteers to really show the love of Christ for people. So you come to these events, you're going to feel home, and that's my biggest prayer, my biggest vision for the journey is that we're going to walk with you in life. And at the same time, I don't want it to just be a one event thing. After the event, I want people to know that we're going to link you to churches, to other places, other forms of community to really be a part of and to really enjoy. And for example, like, I'm assuming you talked to King
Yes.
at the event.
Yes, I did.
And now
yeah.
you've probably seen the video now and stuff like that. And so just off things like that, where you're going to come to the event, you're going to meet people, and now you're going to walk with life with them and you're going to do things with them. I think for my charity soccer match, me personally, because of that event, I'm now walking with even more people in life. And I've met my closest friends now in my season because of that event. And so, yeah. And also just enjoy the show,
Yeah.
Come watch some basketball, soccer, whatever it is, and just enjoy.
Yeah, the whole idea of finding a place that you can feel home, I think that's really important. Yeah, I think like you said, social media kind of pushes us to be more individual, and if you can find a place in a community that you can feel home and be more yourself. I was reading this book where it talks about when we look for groups and hobbies and stuff like that, we're not looking to join a group necessarily. We're looking to be more ourselves. If you can find a group that lets you feel comfortable being yourself, that's what you're really looking for when you're joining these groups. And so yeah, I pray that that's something that they can find with your organization and your events. I've started this kind of I don't know if ritual is the right, but like I've got these last 3 questions that I've been ending the last conversations with. So the first 2, I just need a yes or no, and then the final one I want you to elaborate with.
Sure.
Is your relationship with Christ where you want it to be?
Yes.
Is your relationship with Christ where Christ wants it to be?
That's a great question. I'd say yes.
And so what makes you confident in that?
Yeah, wow. These are great questions. Before I wouldn't have said yes, but after honestly my Elements retreat, I would say so. But I'd say yes because I can't lie, 2025 was a testing year of my life where, bro, I almost left my faith. I wanted to quit, giving up on Christ. And I kind of went through crazy time 2025. If I didn't go through 2025, I would have definitely said no. But 2025 was my struggle year, was my trials year. Honestly, I'm going to call it my Moses in the Egypt year, And the fact that I'm still here with the Lord in 2026, after what I went through in 2025, I had to sit down and really pray to the Lord. And, sometimes in Christianity, we like to self-pity ourselves and be like, call it meekness or humbleness. But sometimes that's false humility and pride. And I'd say, I know for a fact the Lord right now is looking at me in my life and my relationship with Him and saying, I'm proud of you. Like the way you've stuck it out, the way you went through all these things, you fell, but you kept going back up and going and going and going. I genuinely think He's proud of me. And I don't say that with cockiness. I say that with confidence. And I'm going to go through more trials. I know that. But now, because I went through 2025, I know that the Lord is there for real. For real, for real, for real.
I said that was the last question, but I'm wondering what was it that made you doubt your faith or try to pull back, if you don't mind me
Yeah.
asking?
So as I mentioned briefly, I was an electrician.
Right.
And so imagine going from white collar, going to UFC for business, and had to drop out because of just like family finances and stuff. I needed to help my parents. I had to become an electrician. Like I had to work with my uncle. And it's like I was literally speaking on stages, and I was literally, doing events, and I was in presentations at university. And now, like, electrician's an amazing job, right? If you're an electrician, that's amazing in trades. But shifting that from one place to the other, I was like, God, what is happening in my life? I thought this is where I was supposed to go. My trajectory in life, this is what I'm supposed to do. And my plans were shattered. Like, literally everything was gone. And I was like, whoa, God, I don't even know if you're there. Like, I questioned God's goodness that entire season, when it's 6 months of me being an electrician. Because I was lost. I'm like, what am I doing here? You know?
Yeah.
I was isolated. I was alone. I was working all the time. I was tired all the time. And so it was like, where am I? I'm so confused. I'm so lost. I thought I was supposed to graduate like this winter, like this semester, if I didn't drop out. I would have been done school. I would have graduated. But no, because I had to elongate my graduation. I don't know. It came to a part in March where I was like, bro, Lord, what is my future going to look like? Am I going to have to give up my events company? That's why I didn't even plan to have an event. Because I was like, I'm dropping my business. I'm no longer in business school. I'm an electrician where I never thought I'd be in, and I have no hope for the future. What is going on? I'm not getting any younger now. I'm in my 20s. I want to get married soon. I want to do this. I want to do that. But then the Lord says in his word, it's not man. I mean, the man may plan his steps, but the Lord will direct his path. And so God had to destroy my plans just so I could trust him again, because I was trusting in myself too much. I was giving myself too much glory or too much credit. And when that everything happened, I was like, yep, okay, I know what season I'm in now. And when the moment I was like, Lord, I understand. Like ever since August, my life turned around. And then we're here. We're living.
Joshua, thank you for being so vulnerable, because I know that
Yeah,
talking about those slidebacks and just doubts in their faith, like everybody has them,
for sure.
but I think people that aren't Christian think that that doesn't happen.
Exactly.
And so I'm glad that God has sustained you through that.
Amen.
And that's something I've also trying to come to terms with, that if this is something that God is only for a season and doesn't go past, this interview, then
Yep.
then I trust him. But that's easier
Amen.
said than done. So I'm just glad that that God has sustained you in your faith, and that's he promises us to do that. Is that he's going to, if our own faith and how strong it is was up to us,
Yeah.
we would have all fallen out of it. And so
Amen.
I don't know the verse, but there is one where he talks about that he's going to hold us close to him, and he's going to sustain our faith. So thankfully he's done that for you, man.
Amen.
I wanted to know, is there anything that myself or the audience is able to pray for you in this 2026?
Oh yeah. Yeah, honestly, if you guys can pray for capacity, I'd say. Seasons like, especially this year, I know it's going to be a stretching season, an even more stretching season for capacity. I'm going to be everywhere even more times two. So, yeah, definitely capacity and strength.
Will do.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Joshua.
Thank you, brother.
Awesome. Guys, thank you so much for watching this episode. I pray that this is something that's been able to kind of move you guys the next step in your faith, or maybe plant some seeds. I pray that you guys are able to make it out to one of Joshua's events if you're in Calgary. Until next time, stay bold and stay blessed. Thank you, guys.